Hi guys. I made this short video so that we could talk a little bit about um, image making when it comes to graphic design. So what you're looking at right now is the landing page of my website. And what we're trying to do with this course is not necessarily make you illustrators, but take the skills that you have and grow them a little bit so that you can do things like icon design and basic illustration and have that as part of your toolkit as a graphic designer. So I show you some of my work just because I've been pretty lucky over the years to sort of be able to um, be a graphic designer, but also um, use my own illustration in my work. So, what I'm going to talk to you a little bit about today is sort of the techniques that we'll be looking at in this course and the difference between sort of illustration and icon design. So, yeah, I'm just going to go over a few of these projects. So, this is some new work that I've done this summer. So, just scroll down to it. So, this was a book called Together We Rise, and it was for a client out of Montreal called Apathy is Boring. So the overall book itself was kind of a case study on how they tried to inspire young people to vote, and they hired me to create the entire book. So I'm the graphic designer. I do the entire layout, as well as that. They wanted me to illustrate as well, so you can sort of see how illustration works in layout. So I've designed a double page spread here. Then we put in this infographic about how young people are disenfranchised about voting, or how they hear about politics, how they react to politics. So it's kind of when you look at it, it's a 3 or 4 color illustration that's done in Adobe Illustrator. So it's not using paint; it's all on the computer. And some of the techniques that we'll look at in our class, you'll see here. So um, a lot of these are sort of icon based illustrations, so they're highly stylized, and we'll look at styles in our class and go over some of the techniques that you need to sort of create something like this. I'll just go back. Um, so this was a book that I did this year. So it's a book about creative pioneers in British Columbia, and it's I designed it again. Worked with my partner, who's also an illustrator, and we wrote these stories, true life stories, with a little bit of a nudge and a wink of British Columbia pioneers. So you sort of see here, again, I do the entire layout and writing. And in this one, the illustrations are a little bit more funky, but they're still Adobe Illustrator, still all vector-based artwork. And yeah, I mean, I don't expect to get you to this level, but we will certainly go over different techniques to actually draw something like this and have it as part of your layout. And the more design you'll look at, the more you'll see that vector illustration is a lot more commonplace than traditional sort of ink and paint illustration. And it's a little bit easier to learn how to do as well. So those are some of the things that we'll look at in our class. Um, this was a publication called A Mixtape for a Desert Island, where I hired um, uh, illustrators from all across North America. Some of them award winning, some of the best illustrators in the business, and I asked them to choose one song to take to a desert island, and then illustrate that song, what it looks like to them, and to um, write a short write up as why you would choose that song. So. Again, complete, I did the complete design and layout, came up with the concept, um, and then these are some of the illustrations. So an illustration by Adam Rogers. So this is a complete digital illustration as well. Um, this is Rick Sealock. He's from Toronto, very world famous illustrator. So you can sort of see all different styles of illustration. This is Julia Iredale from Vancouver Island. Um, this is an illustrator from California who's quite well known as well. So there are tons of illustration styles that you'll see in graphic design. Um, we will look at styles, we'll look at different image making techniques. Let's show you a few more projects. I'll look at this one just because this is a series, some branding that I did for a printer in Vancouver last year. And it really is sort of a little bit more abstract. So you can sort of see each one of these posters um, for this Mitchell Press showcase had these illustrations in the negative space. And all of that, again, was done in Illustrator, but a little bit more abstract. So that's me giving a presentation. But yeah, a little bit more abstract illustration, and we can we will certainly look at those types of techniques as well. Now this was, we'll look at this one on the left here. This was a really great project I was asked to work on. So I don't know if a lot of you know the band, The Tragically Hip, a great Canadian band. The lead singer was diagnosed with terminal cancer in 2015, and they did one last concert tour across Canada. And they asked me to create a poster that would be given to the band for their stop in Vancouver. So again, it's looking at sort of a little bit more vintage, kind of 1940s travel era poster style. Again, all done in Illustrator. And this is on this page itself, you can sort of see the different styles of illustration that I do. So this one for the Greater Vancouver Board of Trade, it really is just a series of icons with a colored background, very flat illustration with a little bit of depth. But when we look at icon design, you'll understand how we create these things, and we'll sort of look at creating, getting you on the road to creating images like this. This this was actually a project for the school, so the Monster Yearbook Challenge. So it was really meant to set up high school students to work on their yearbooks and have me give them tips and um, understand how to come up with concepts for yearbooks. So I decided to just sort of portray it as like these little monsters looking at a yearbook. So again, a little bit more flat illustration with a little bit of depth, a little bit of shading, some gradients, but it really, this type of illustration starts off as really basic Illustrator icons, and then I just take it a little bit further. This was for the book that I showed you, a mixtape for a desert island. So this was my choice. It's all about a band that flew around the world, and the song was about a gondola. And so I wanted to create an island that was actually made up of all the characters in the song. So there's lions in the song, clergymen, newspapermen. So the whole song is, the whole island is made up of these different characters. And this is really, it's a multi-layered illustration in Illustrator. Uses gradients for some of the coloring aspects. But yeah, it was a very fun project to work on. Um, This was for the same project. So I worked on this one um, with a partner, with my partner, and this story was actually written by um, one of the by an author in Vancouver who's actually blind. And I asked him if he could take one song on a desert island, what would it be? And then so he wrote it, and then we illustrated it for him, and then described what we had done. So the illustration itself is that's him in the middle getting a shave. So he was listening to this song in Ireland in this little barber shop, and it came on over the stereo, and he just kind of closed his eyes, and the song talked about a hole, and it's called A Hole in the Boat, and it was full of trumpets, and it was all about these guys sort of having a hole in the boat and they were drowning. So we sort of portrayed him right in the middle of the boat and getting a shave, and meanwhile the crew on the boat is already dead and they don't know it. And then we sort of added the octopus in there for a little bit of fun, just to make it even busier. And then, I'll do things like this. So this was just a simple icon sort of illustration. A couple years ago, Donald Trump told California that if they raked their forests more, they wouldn't get as many forest fires. So a lot of people thought that was pretty funny because you really literally can't rake a forest. And so I did a kind of a fun little graphic for the CBC, and called it "Make America Rake Again." And so you kind of see how it's like a grass rake, and it's kind of also forms a American flag type thing. This is a little bit more on the illustration side, so less iconic, but it's still all done in Adobe Illustrator. This was an infographic for the CBC on the Spirit Bear. So everything you see here is done in Adobe Illustrator, and then the layout is done in InDesign. So yeah, I tend to do a lot of work on sort of socially conscious projects. So I've been pretty lucky to work on a lot of things like that. So yeah, this is the type, a lot of these illustrations I've done in the last few years. Um, so they're really sort of they are mostly vector-based Adobe Illustrator projects. So I do tons of illustrations for different projects. Um, so this will be one of the projects that we work on in class, and this was I was asked to do a poster for Lindy Ortega, who's a country singer, and she kind of is this great kind of dark country singer with a kind of a dark soul, and um, she kind of sees herself as a badass. So we did this poster of her kind of being lit by the moon, and there's a crow on her guitar, and the little building in the background is where the concert was. So yeah, a lot of fun to work on. So just to summarize, I'm going to try and teach you as much as I can. I don't expect you guys to be illustrators when you're done. I am a graphic designer who does a lot of illustration, and if you have some talent and you're willing to learn, at the very least, we'll get you to a point where you can illustrate in some of your layouts, and it'll become a secondary tool, just like photography, just like writing. A good graphic designer can do a lot of different things. So yeah, look forward to starting with you. And yeah, that's it.